Welcome to Military Faith and Spiritual Resilience. This is Elizabeth Fulgaro, and with me today is Renee Hamilton-McNealy, soldier and artist. Renee, it's been so wonderful to talk to you and just have you flow with these different ideas on humanity and value of each person and community and how to empower, and how that's kind of been in you since the beginning. So I'm wondering if you could try to put words for others, how do they prepare to become a leader? How do they kind of start? What are some of the components that would lead them to that place where they could value individuals in such a way that those individuals will thrive so that the organization thrives too?
Mm. Wow, it felt beautiful just hearing the question. The first thing that comes to mind is knowing yourself. You have to be able to be self-aware and reflect. You have to know what your motivations are and not take it lightly. It's not really about how can I climb, a social ladder, leadership ladder, be better than the person to my left and right. It has to be something beyond a title, position, and paper. And I think what helps someone prepare for leadership is taking a moment to learn more about people. Learn more about people, learn more about power and influence and how it can either be detrimental or something powerful. I think they have to look at what lens are they viewing leadership through. If it's viewed through, I get to do this, I'm in control, I get to say this, I would ask them to dig deeper. It seemed like that would motivate them more individually versus other people. Leadership preparation for me is viewing yourself as someone who is serving others, regardless of what the level is, and using your power, influence, and experience to really guide and develop others. So reflecting, knowing who you are, knowing your why, being open. So if there's some things you have to really work on, you're open to feedback to improve and realize the impact of the leadership. What does it look like if everything goes well or not? Let's say you have that person who needs to take 2 additional weeks off because they lost someone in their family, but there's a job that got to be done. Do you trust yourself enough to know how to make a sound decision? There are conflict resolution, resilience training. A leader has to be able to identify what skills and attributes they need and they're lacking and be open to the experiences, education, training, coaching, and mentorship that can support their leadership. Leadership we say it's lonely, and it can feel as such, but you have to be able to surround yourself with a new network of support so you can serve others genuinely, support the organization, and not lose yourself in the process.
So how do you get to know yourself? Like you said, self-reflection, but how do you see the places you need growth? How do you evaluate? How do you even know what some of the criteria are?
Oh, that's a really wonderful question. So there are a lot of different ways I've seen this done, whether there's schools, tests, assessments. I wouldn't push, say, religion or spirituality on anyone. I can speak for myself. I realized that from my own walk through prayer and meditation and time with self, initially I realized, a lot of my leadership and motivation is to simply create opportunities for people where other people got in the way, because I've dealt with that. Sometimes that's not always the case. I realized the motivation was stemmed from a personal experience, which is okay, but it may not always be applicable. So mentorship, allowing oneself to be mentored, to speak to somebody who had more experience, somebody who's done so, could really help somebody take a moment to see themselves outside of themselves. Be open to feedback. We have different assessments where those who are junior to you, we use the word subordinate, I use junior, can communicate to you how they see you because we may view ourselves in one way, others may view us in a certain way. But if you're not open to feedback from all different levels, you're limited in that self-view. So being open, receiving mentorship, identifying the different schools and training that can really help, different exercises, even like self-help books. So actually leadership is a journey. It's an ongoing journey. It's an ongoing journey. It is not something you do. It's not a job. It's not a position. Your mind ends up shifting to be like intertwined with how your decisions and your influence impact other people, and not just their jobs, their lives. What happens is someone during the core hours of a workday can either fuel their spirit, I use those terms, can push somebody further into depression or not. And of course, the individual controls that for themselves. But wherever you spend your time and your energy is external stimuli that can affect you. So leaders have to look outside of the standard box and procedures of what their job description is, but look at how their influence impacts the whole individual people that they're charged.
So I think I hear you saying is a leader needs to be intentional. It's not a job. It sounds like it's more of an overall life mindset.
Yes.
Where you've made a decision that you're about serving others and empowering them versus yourself. And the other thing I hear you saying just now, I think, please edit, please correct and expand, right, is that you're saying that the leader has to be aware and self-aware of what they're spending time on, what they're inputting to their own mental, emotional, and spiritual system. And they need to be aware of how their output, how they are influencing others, because their interaction with these other people is going to influence them. I mean, I think does that?
That's exactly. They have to know that sometimes the positional influence, just from having the position, is going to influence others. And sometimes from a personal standpoint, they get to know who you are and how you are. I've had people who literally say, you know what, you run a lot. I use like this Nike Run app challenge, and I'll create some. I've even got medals at times, and people say, you know, I need to get back into running. Just download the app. That's one thing, you know, or just maybe go for a walk, and then realizing, oh, I'm just getting started. Many people need guidance, and they need the leader. Wow, that just came out. Yeah, we have our own internal self to guide and direct, but there are positions created for a reason. So a leader must realize what they are entrusted to do and be mindful. Be mindful. You don't have to be perfect. You know, be mindful about it. Sometimes I've even shared what I would call failures or things that didn't go too well to let them know I'm human too. I've been doing this longer and going hard, and I've, earned a particular position. But when I'm vulnerable and open and share a real life experience outside of standard counseling or mentorship, there's a conversation happening between humans, and that bridges connection. They feel, it goes back to it. They feel seen. They feel heard. They can trust this leader. And once you have trust, be mindful not to abuse that. It's additional wonderful opportunity to pour into people even more, to challenge them. It doesn't mean leadership means I'm going to be your best friend. I'm going to hold you accountable to do what you have to do, but be mindful on the influence. And I think when leaders take care of their own well-being, don't lose sight of it. Being selfless doesn't mean self-neglect. Oh, I like that. Being selfless doesn't mean to neglect oneself. You have to pour into yourself. You have to make sure you're mentally, spiritually, physically sound and fit, because it's kind of like the parents in a household, not to call leaders parents. Children can feel, if you had an argument or things are not as great. So you have to continue to pride in yourself as a priority so you can show up as your best self for you, but also for like the integrity of the organization, the mission, goals, things of that nature.
So how does, so I want to ask you about position and title, because you've mentioned, and it's absolutely true, there's different positions and different levels of authority. There's different responsibilities that go with different positions. Can you talk a little bit about leadership without an important title? And then when that title is also there, it's like, how does leadership get done? Are people leaders when they don't have the title?
Wonderful. I think everybody has the power to be a leader, and everyone leads in some shape or form. And if they realize that, they'll realize how powerful they are. And you don't have to have a position, a corner office, a title, rank. Of course, at different levels, you have certain things entrusted to you, but everyone has the power to lead in some shape or form. It could be leading the Boy Scouts. It could be reading books to first graders. It could be volunteering in the community. It could be the leadership skills and traits they have in their own home. So leadership is taking charge and guiding change and getting to know people and moving people in a direction or motivating them into a direction that can really improve who they are, what they do.
But your other message that's gone with that is taking into account who they are, not deciding how they become that better person, but seeing their value and allowing it to be guided more that way.
I think that's the core there, is seeing it. It's the same way that art instructor saw the art. She could have said, hey, put it away. It's nap time. I wouldn't take a nap till I was done painting. That's what I do now. I go do work. I aim to be excellent, and I want to paint and create and rest. Those three things are still consistent in my life. I just thought about that. Work hard, aim for excellence, create, and rest, and somewhere along it motivate others to do the same. That's it. I've been doing it since I've been a kid. Oh, God.
It's excellent.
Yeah.
Let's continue it next time, Renee.
For sure.
Thanks for staying around.